Hi and welcome to tonight's Facebook Live, which is an opportunity to talk about the solstice before it actually arrives in a week's time. People ask me about the solstice, what it means, why is it significant, and where the connection between the solstice and the equinoxes are. And so tonight I thought I'd do a little bit of a talk about each of these and why they're significant. I'm just switching off the heating because it's a little bit noisy. It's the winter here where we are, so hence the wrapping up to keep warm. So, nice to see you. We've got Sarupa, Orla, Sonia, Juliet, Glynis, Cynthia, Tracy, Karen. There's a nice group forming. Thank you, Maria. Nice to see you here. And good to have a group of people that we can discuss and we can share and perhaps ask a few questions and illuminate the topic of the solstice. Because the solstice is about illumination. Hi, Haresh and Pia. Thank you for joining. Solstice actually means stand still. The sun stands still. So for those of you who may not know, twice a year the sun reaches a certain point. In the summer it reaches the Tropic of Cancer, at which point it stands still for 3 days. The energy stands still for 3 days. The sun doesn't stand still in the sky and stop spinning, and neither does the earth. The energy stands still for 3 days. And then in December, the sun reaches the Tropic of Capricorn, which cuts across the top of Australia, and stands still for another 3 days. And that standstill is really significant because during that time, it invites us, it gives us an opportunity energetically to look at certain things that we want to achieve. And then as we get to the equinoxes, we arrive at the point of balance between the two. It's kind of like looking at a clock. And of course it depends where on the planet you are as to whether the summer solstice for you is in June or it's in December. There's no right or wrong. But wherever you are, the solstice in June is called the Cancer Ingress. We all move in with the sun into the energy of Cancer. And at that time, we have light in the north, in the northern summer. We have full light to look at what family, tribe mean to us, whether we're happy, what's happening around us, whether we're healthy. We have an opportunity to look at whether our planet is doing well or not, and whether we are doing well by it. In the southern hemisphere, of course, it's winter, and so the light isn't very strong because the sun's in the north. And so for us at this point, it's about going internally. It's about going to our own light, our inner light, to ask the same questions. And then in December, when we have the opposition to this energy, we're looking at the aspirations that we've held through the year and how we're taking them out into the world, whether we're doing it on an internal or an external level. For me, the solstice, whether we're in the north or the south, makes no matter. It's a time where we celebrate light, where we celebrate the light in our world, in our lives, and where we have an opportunity to choose how we want to interact with that light. Next week, for the June solstice, Tony and I will be in the UK. So we'll be having a summer solstice, not a winter solstice. And because it's June the 21st, the Harmony group will be meeting live on Facebook to do the exercise of sharing light with the world. And particularly for this one, we'll be calling in the golden light of the universe and spreading it through the grid. Hi Michelle, hi Julie, hi Doris, nice that you could join us. So I guess for me, the solstice is all about light and what we choose to do with it. If any of you have any questions about it, please feel free to ask them now. And why is the solstice in relationship to the equinox so important? From an astrological perspective, they square each other. So what that means is that there's a challenge. So at a solstice, you may have the full light and you may decide on a course of action of how you want to work with that light. At the equinox, the sun is at a point where light and dark are equal. Day and night are equal. And we're being asked to say, okay, at this midpoint that is equal, what are we doing? How well have we done with what we chose at the solstice? Some of us will say we've done a really good job. Some of us will say, well, we could have done a better job. Some of us will say, well, we haven't done any kind of job because we forgot or life was busy. If we focus on keeping it simple, it doesn't have to be challenging and it doesn't have to be difficult. All is saying, why now? I presume you mean, Ola, why are we looking at the solstice now? And why does the planet and its people need this meditation, the Harmony 21, at this point in time? I could say the world's in a terrible situation and it needs all the help it can get. I don't personally believe that. Things are shifting and changing. We're moving. And we have to get past this glass ceiling that says, this is where we're safe and this is where we're comfortable, so this is where we sit. And if there are terrible things happening in the world, let's just pretend they're not happening and they might sort themselves out. We've got things changing politically. President Trump, whether you like him or you don't, created an opportunity to meet with Kim Jong-un. So here for the first time, we have East and West talking. How long it will last and what will come out of it, to me, isn't as important as the fact that it happened now, when we need to bring in as much light as possible and as little judgment as possible to get the whole energy moving. The planet doesn't need Harmony 21 because it's not wounded, but the energy of the Harmony 21 group, as it's distributed out into the world, empowers the energy in nature. So there's a collaboration. We're learning to operate in collaboration with the planet and the planetary being. And so those of us who meet June 21st to share the grid meditation with the golden light, what we're doing is we're putting that energy out into the world so that it can be used for the highest good of everyone in and on it. Julie says, is it a little like the spaces between the new and the full moons? It is. It's actually a little bit more than that. The more I look at this, the more fascinated I become by it. A Saturn cycle is roughly 30 years. A moon cycle is monthly, but it's also 28 to 30 years, depending. And there are 4 stages. So there's the new phase, where we've just about got an idea and we're working with it. And for a child, it's from the years 0 to 7. And then we have the developmental stage from 7 to 14, where we start to explore our world in a bit more detail and where our emotional body is activated. From 14 to 21, our mental body is stimulated. And from 21 to 28, that's really about who we are and how we want to operate in the world. Well, it's the same with Saturn. Saturn challenges us in each of those quarters. If you look at the solstices and the equinoxes, you have exactly the same thing. Whether you're in the northern or southern hemisphere matters not. It's about who am I, where am I going, how am I choosing to get there, and what's my responsibility? What have I achieved when I arrive? So it's a cohesion between them all. So thanks for asking that, Julie. Sarupa says, is it therefore a good idea, and I can't see that, let me pull it down, to set an intent during either solstice about how we are celebrating our light? I would prefer to suggest that at the solstice, you sit in meditation and you ask your guidance how you are to celebrate your light. Ask your soul or your higher self how you're to celebrate it, because your soul knows what your path is. Your personality may think it knows, but your soul definitely knows. So at the solstice, ask, so what is it that I need to do for my path now? At the equinox, you can stop and have a look and say, well, how well have I done? Do I need to do a little bit more, or do I need to carry on as I am? Thanks for that one, Sarupa. That's good. Caroline's joined and Jackie's joined, so nice to have you both here. Is there any other question about the solstice? While I'm waiting, I'll share a little bit more. The ancients celebrated the solstice. The Sphinx at the summer solstice, the light touches the top of the Sphinx's head. You can imagine how powerful that would have seemed to the Egyptians at that point in time. They'd designed it for that to occur, but for the people there seeking to commune and connect to their gods, having that light touch the head of the Sphinx would have been tremendous. What we perhaps forget is that at the solstice, we can do the same. We can sit and we can connect and we can call in the light, and it touches our crown chakra. And then it can fill us and we radiate it. We become a sun, standing still, radiating that energy out into the world if we choose. So basically, solstice is a point on the compass where you can orient yourself to your journey, to what you're doing, to where you're going, and to how you want to adjust it. If you're not happy with where you're at the moment, you can sit and feel grumpy or upset. You can choose to be resigning. You can do anything emotionally that you like. Or you can sit and say, let me see what I need to align to be able to move forward in love, in light, and in joy. Use the solstice as that orientation point, not as a judgment point. This is where I am. Is this really where I want to be? That's where I want to go. What can I do to take me there? And once you've thought about that, don't make that, this is the map that I'm going to follow. Before you do that, go into your meditation and ask, this is what I feel, this is what I think. Is this the path for me to take? If so, please show me. And don't expect that you're necessarily going to be shown the answer immediately. There may be some other things that need to unfold first. So if something doesn't become blindingly obvious immediately, don't blame yourself or criticize yourself for not being connected enough or not tuning in. Ask, is it not timely yet? Or is it timely now? Depends how you want to voice the question. And what will happen then is you'll start to understand. Sometimes we need to allow things to unfold. We tend to expect things to be immediate because we live in an immediate world. And It's not about answers on demand. It's about growth and a process. And if you look at the Stonehenge, the ancient structures all around the world, where people gathered to see the sun at certain points in the year, they didn't have mobile phones. They didn't have an internet connection. What they had was a connection to the universe and a connection to the seasons and to the rhythm of life and of the planet. And they learned how to live according to those seasons and rhythms. More than anything for me, the solstice brings us back to the seasons and to being at one with the natural order and rhythm of things. At that point, we open up to light. And light then can shine through us. Doesn't look as though anybody's got any more questions. If you don't have any questions and you're happy with what I've explained, great. If you don't understand anything and you'd like clarity, please let me know or pop a comment in the box below, as we usually do. Thank you for joining me tonight. And those of you who are part of the Harmony 21 group, I'll see you 6 p.m. Australia time, which will be 9 a.m. UK time. I'll see you then live to do the Harmony 21 meditation. Thank you for joining me. See you then. Good night.